Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about how to come up with the right numbers that you'll need for salary negotiation and how to work the process so that ideally you're having the salary negotiation at the very end of the process once they've offered you the job. So let's fast forward now. You've gone through the interview process and the employer has called you and offered you the job. No matter how much they offer you, even if they call and they say, hey, we're super excited to have you, we want to offer you $2 trillion, you never accept the offer right away. We don't want to make those types of decisions in the heat of the moment or when we're overly emotional. So once you get the job offer, the right thing to do is to ensure the employer of your interest, oh, wow, that's super exciting. I'm so glad that you're wanting to hire me. This is a really big decision. I need some time to think about this and some time to talk to my family. When can I get back to you? And by asking the employer how much time you have for the decision-making process is often an indication of how much wiggle room you have within the negotiation. So if the employer says, sure, we completely understand, please get back to us by tomorrow at noon, giving that short time frame may suggest that you don't have a lot of wiggle room within your negotiation. Because likely if they want to know very quickly, you're their top candidate, but then they may have 2 or 3 other people that they're interested in, and so they want a response from you so they know how to proceed with the other candidates. So if the employer says, oh, sure, it's a big decision, try to just get back to us sometime in the middle of next week. So if they give you a long time to decide, 3 days, 5 days, that likely indicates that you have more room for negotiation, because giving you a longer time to decide would indicate that not only are you their top choice candidate, but it's a very likely that they don't have a second choice candidate, and so they will be more willing to do whatever it is they need to do in order to make sure that you are the candidate that accepts the position. So again, the amount of time you're given to make the decision can be very indicative of how much wiggle room you have within the negotiation. Either way, use the time that you've been granted to really consider the offer. Remember, there are lots of different things that go into a salary offer besides just the salary. The salary is typically the baseline number that they give you, but you also want to make sure that you're considering things like health insurance, vacation days, sick days, personal days, professional memberships, relocation expenses, company cars, expense accounts. Very often an organization will have an entire package of benefits that supplements on to the salary itself. Health insurance alone can be a savings of $10,000 a year, $8,000 to $12,000 a year out of your personal paycheck. So please remember to consider the entire package before accepting a salary offer. So when the time has come that you need to call the employer back in order to accept the offer, you need to make sure that you use the right language. And we have the best chance of using the right language if we have practiced how we're going to say this in the meantime. So in that time that the employer gives you to decide, call up your mom, call up your boyfriend, get your dog over there, something, and make sure that you're practicing the salary negotiation. Remember that you're going to be negotiating with a person and not a company. And this is a mistake we make sometimes. We think, well, XYZ company makes billions of dollars a year. Is it really too much for me to ask for an extra $5,000? But the trick is you're not negotiating with the entire company. You're negotiating with a person who's overseeing a very specific budget. And so you're trying to work within their budget restraints. You might be negotiating with a human resources manager who typically has less flexibility over the budgeting, or you might be negotiating with the hiring manager who may have more flexibility over the budgeting. Either way, as you go through this process, please try to remain likable. So once you call to accept the offer, the thing that you want to say is, I'm so excited, thank you so much for the offer. Is this offer negotiable? And if the person on the other end of the phone says, no, the offer is not negotiable, then you know that there's no room for negotiation. However, if they say that the offer is negotiable, then you will be able to move forward into the negotiation. One of the important things to remember through the negotiation process is it is okay to use silence to your advantage. You can oftentimes hear people out and wait before responding. So when you are ready to start the negotiation, you want to make sure that you use firm but neutral language. You guys offered me $50,000 a year, but I would feel more comfortable at $56,000 a year because I'm bringing these skills to the table. Or thank you so much for the offer. As I told you in our interview, I'm interviewing with lots of other companies, but if you could offer me $56,000, I could accept this offer right now. So just making sure that you're using firm but neutral language. You also want to make sure that you don't belabor the process. You want to ask for everything you want up front. So for example, if you want an increase in the salary, but then you also want a private office, and maybe you also want some relocation expenses paid for, you need to ask for all of those things at once. Don't ask for a higher salary and then wait until the higher salary is granted and then ask for additional items. Remember not to negotiate the salary simply for the sake of negotiation. Sometimes people get really excited and like, oh, I got 52. I wonder if I could get 54. Once you have been through the negotiation process, it is done and you need to take what it is you have decided upon. Do not threaten or give ultimatums, because even if you're the finest Mercedes in the lot, there's other Mercedes dealerships out there, and so you don't want to threaten or give ultimatums to a company. And then finally, know when to stop. The negotiation process is winding to an end when you hear the words final offer. Typically, if an organization tells you that it is their final offer, then it is typically the final offer that you will be given. So a couple of things to keep in mind as you enter this process. Please remember to be realistic and to practice. You may or may not get everything you want in a salary negotiation. That is one of the key principles of a negotiation. Everybody gives a little bit. I also want you to remember your no-go number. Sometimes we get really excited about just being wanted, especially as people who are entry level into the field. It's very important that you do get to start your career, but make sure that you're not selling yourself completely short. That no-go number was a number that you established for a reason, and be sure not to accept an offer below that no-go number. And then finally, remember to consider the full package. And again, as early career applicants, career advancement is sometimes as essential as any salary dollar. So even if the salary may not be exactly what you hoped for when you began the process, if you're with an organization that allows you to advance throughout your career, then you will have, then oftentimes salary can be a good trade-off for the potential for career advancement. And again, please make sure that you practice. Salary negotiation is difficult and it can be emotionally intense, and so the more you practice before you go into the negotiation itself, the better off you will be. I hope that you found these tips and tricks helpful. If you need any personal help with salary negotiation, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you with your research or to help you know how to negotiate for specific positions.